I'm going to start this video with a funny story since I can't say the word anecdote, apparently. Um, anyways, so I don't want to talk about Satanism. I want to talk about Satan. Backstory. This is Kara, my former husband. We call each other former husband and former wife. It was something we decided upon. We're still like best friends and stuff, but this is a story from his college days in the 90s. And so he and some of his college buddies took some illegal substances that shall not be named, and no names will be named, and they went to go see Hunter S. Thompson speak on the university campus. And one of his friends, I guess as said drugs were kicking in, is just in the back shouting, Satan! Satan! Stuff like that. And at some point, Hunter S. Thompson acknowledges the fact that someone is in the back shouting Satan. He's like, oh, I see we have someone here interested in learning more about Satanism. To which his friend replies loudly, I don't want to hear about Satanism! I want to hear about Satan! Anyways, so now a little bit about Satan. Anyways, so I'm trying to figure out where to start this story. The first time Satan appeared to me in my path workings, because as I've mentioned in other videos, sometimes all the gatekeepers show up and it's a big old party ritual thing in the astral realm and in different ritual workings and things like that. What I was not prepared for was the first time I was working with Satan in the astral realm. I believe Lucifer, Lilith, and maybe Belial took me to his crypt. And the room was empty, and crawling from the shadows was Satan in the form of a human infant baby child crawling out from the crypt. Was not prepared for that. Gotta say, that one threw me a little bit. Although I will say that the little hellhound / baby bat fruit bat hybrids were cute as fuck, and I really wish they existed because I want one because they were adorable. They were like little chihuahua sized things. My god, they were the cutest things. So that was how Satan initially manifested to me. And then as, baby Satan crawls forward and is standing there, and there's sort of this like tornadic vortex kind of swirling around as, he's manifesting into, aging through, as a child and stuff like that. I'm not sure what else happened in that particular instance, but that was the first time I experienced Satan. So what I want to talk about in this video in particular, and I guess I'll just call it the Prophecies of the Adversary, is I was initially working with Azazel, and he was giving me a task, one that haven't started yet, and I'm not particularly wanting to do, but I know I have to do it. It's a healing shadow work thing, but, I don't want to go into the details. And then it was, how, like, when you're in school, that, the announcement comes over the PA, it's like, well, Jennifer, please report to Satan's throne room immediately, and there I went, and ended up in Satan's throne room again. In Satan's throne room, he called me forth to kneel before him, not in an act of reverence, or in an act of worship, because I don't actually worship Satan, or any of the entities that I work with. I work with them. And in this scenario, he said that he pulled me forth and asked me to kneel, so I knelt before him, so that he could lay his hands upon me and show me alternate visions of the future in 2025, and how to stop and change the outcomes. One of the things he said was the 4 horsemen are here. Actually, it ends up turning out there's actually 6 of them, but we'll get to that. So pestilence, obviously, COVID-19. Famine, that is a little more looking at like the supply chain disruption, scarcity of supplies, the possibility of economic collapse, poverty, job losses, that sort of thing. War is the unrest and divide between humanity, looking at, sort of civil unrest, possibilities of like civil war in theory, collapse of the governments in the United States and things like that. And death reaps the rewards of pestilence, those who have died of the plague, that will succumb to famine and war. But it can be stopped and changed. Satan said that love is the highest vibration. Love created the universe. Black holes are the energetic manifestation of hatred, strife, and wars. It's the universe eating itself. Some heavy things to kind of ponder. And what's interesting when I'm working with these entities is that it's about balancing the light and the dark. Satan's talking about love here. Love being like a good thing, the thing that kind of solves problems. Also creates some problems too, but, again, it's about balance. So it goes on to say that the god Satan adversary is all a lie. How many wars and genocides have been done in the name of Satan and the infernal empire? God, as man defined him, is corrupt. Jesus Christ, God killed his only son. God of the sort of Abrahamic faiths, no one can agree, and they kill each other because of him and how they define him. God creates war, famine, pestilence, and death. I'm just going to pause to put in a couple thoughts. And one of the things, one of my favorite TV shows, if you haven't watched it, it was out in like the mid to late 90s, Babylon 5. And their approach to the concept of religion, especially with dealing with alien races and things like that as well, was very unique and very well done. And a lot of that kind of influences how I think about things in the universe. And one of the quotes from the character Delenn is that we are the universe made manifest, trying to understand itself. That's how I think of humanity and the cosmos and the world we live in and spirits and that whole entire world. So, be that as it may. And also the other quote I really love from that is, the closer you come to defining God, the further away you come from knowing God. So, think about that. So, Satan said the only way to survive is to stop fighting each other over petty shit and differences. Love is the only thing that will save us and restore to balance between the light and the darkness. The futures he showed me could potentially play out by 2025 vary from utter, desolation and destructions, cities abandoned, people living, in a more tribal, familial, societal structure, with or without world government. Technology mostly stays intact in these various scenarios. There's also peaceful endings through spiritual awakening and enlightenment. Love is the universal light. We have the power to change these outcomes. Balance needs to be restored. Some will not survive. They cannot survive. The NPCs, non-player characters, are fading. The truth will be revealed. Love creates the future. Hatred ends it all. Some will fight no matter what. We need to join together and become the future. Stop destroying the world. So many lost souls were not built for this. We spoke about the origin of COVID, and I'm not positive. And I'm not getting into conspiracy theories here, but he said it was preordained in some sense, and in both naturally occurring and man-made in some way. It's been here for a long time, changing, adapting, learning, bringing us together, and then dividing us, and leaving us apart tearing us apart at the same time from within. It will fade eventually, like all things do. Humanity will change, adapt, and evolve. Also, it was noted that time and reality are breaking down and shifting due to the general conflict. And now we'll get to the 2 additional horsemen. So now there's 6 horsemen, not 4 horsemen. So the 2 additional horsemen who have been added are willful ignorance and power/corruption, which makes sense. I don't think those were necessarily when, if you look back biblically or historically or whatever to the four horsemen, that made more sense for the time, more tangible sense for the times in which they lived in. Like, willful ignorance is a choice. Power and corruption, that was probably a thing back then too, obviously during the Roman Empire, but it's become, as we become a more globally connected civilization, and with the world governments, need I say more, revealed the ritual of the infernal empire. The date hasn't been revealed, but it will be a massive week-long endeavor. The gathering, now this needs to be a physical gathering, and should include at least 25 of the most powerful shamans and sorcerers in the world in one place, a place of power. The first day of the ritual, well, probably the pre-ritual would be like figuring all the shit out and details and all that stuff. I mean, as a project manager and event coordinator in my life, that's usually what the first day is. So the first official day would be an ayahuasca ritual to purify all the participants. The rituals are to be performed outdoors. I get the feeling it felt flat, very flat, sandy, warm at the location. Parts of the ritual would be performed in the astral realm, other parts in the physical realm. It has to do with opening the infernal realm to rebalance the world. The ritual needs to be done somewhat secretively, although other groups of sorcerers and shamans, etc., can perform it in groups of their own in places of power around the world. The sorcerers will each take on a full possession, well, one each, of the demonic gatekeepers, dark goddesses, and other infernals. There will need to be watchers, protectors, and healers present for all stages of the mass ritual. Because, you don't want someone getting, possessed by Beelzebub and running amok. Although, interesting side note, I started working with Beelzebub recently. He took off his bug head. He's hot as fuck under there. Who knew? So, shout out to Beelzebub. And we're back to the actual story, because I'm a Gemini, I get sidetracked. The astral portion will require shared dreaming and astral projection. A guide will lead all the participants to the same place. The possession portion of the ritual is meant to balance the light and darkness, to end the progress of the six horsemen, to shift the consciousness and produce the mass spiritual awakening to heal the world. Much of the ritual working involves raising the love, vibration, and frequency of the universe through human, divine, and infernal manifestation. The energy channeled all in one place would be extraordinarily powerful. I asked Satan how we will know it all worked. He said, we will know. I feel like more needs to be revealed. It has been coming in waves of channeling infernal energy. Now, I just want to point out here that this whole thing was channeled through like about 18 hours of intense work. Not all consecutive. It was sort of like, I just kept getting pulled in. And it was like, okay, I'm going in. Came out 3 hours later, slept in theory. Woke up, did a few things, and it was like, nope, you're coming back for another few hours. And, this happened throughout the course of the day. So, and I still feel like there's a lot more. And once I know that information, I will definitely share it with y'all. So, anyways, let me know what you think. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all again soon. Love you.